The late January sun beat down on the Redstone Plains, the 200-acre Texas ranch shimmering under a relentless sky, the lake reflecting the harsh light in the distance. Its surface rippling with a dry breeze, wildflowers along the pasture's edge wilting in muted yellows and purples, their delicate forms trembling against the vast expanse. Ancient oaks casting thin shadows, their gnarled branches heavy with history, the air thick with the scent of dust and cedar, cattle lowing softly in the fields. Blending with the cry of a lone hawk overhead. John Parker, 54, stood by the weathered wooden fence of the corral, his sharp eyes narrowed against the glare. A mix of pride and frustration etched into his weathered face as he watched his latest acquisition, Storm, a black stallion with a lightning-shaped white mark between its eyes, galloping wildly. A force of nature, untamed, unpredictable, devastating, the red barn glowing in the distance. The snare shed a bright reminder of recent victories, the burn scar on his forearm throbbing. The wildflowers enduring despite the heat that had come before. "It's been 3 weeks, John," Frank Hensley said, approaching cautiously. His arm still bandaged from his last attempt to tame the horse, his voice gravelly. No riders lasted more than 10 seconds on him, John adjusting his worn Stetson. Running a hand through his graying beard, never taking his eyes off Storm. "He'll be broken, Frank. Whatever it takes." At 54, John had built the ranch into a respected operation. Known for breeding the finest horses in 3 counties, his reputation on the line, never encountering a horse he couldn't tame, until now, the lake shimmering faintly. Its calm surface a stark contrast to the storm brewing in John's chest, the wildflowers along the corral trembling in the breeze, the plains stretching wide and unbroken. Their roots deep in the Texas soil. "With respect, John," Frank hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "Maybe some spirits are too wild to break." John turning sharply, his dark eyes flashing. "You think I spent a fortune on this horse just to let him run wild? Every horse has a price, Frank. Every will can be bent." Storm rearing at that moment, as if hearing the words. His furious neigh slicing the warm afternoon air like a challenge, the wildflowers near the fence quivering, the plains pulsing with unseen defiance, their roots deep in the Texas soil. 3 days later, the 4th rider left the ranch in an ambulance. 2 cracked ribs, a sprained wrist, Storm still untamed, as wild as the day he arrived. John pacing the porch of the ranch house. A glass of whiskey trembling in his hand, the walls lined with photos of his family and trophies from years of horse breeding, trophies that now seemed to mock his frustration. "That demon's gonna ruin me," he muttered, a soft knock interrupting his thoughts. "Come in." Ethan, his 14-year-old grandson, stepping inside, his face a younger mirror of John's but softer. "The doc says Luke will recover, but he won't ride for months." John snorting. He called himself the best rider in Texas. Another fraud. Ethan closing the door. Moving to the window overlooking the corral, Storm standing still, a black statue against the orange dusk. "Grandpa." Ethan began hesitantly. "Maybe it's time to accept." "Don't start," John cut in. Slamming the glass on the oak table, "That horse is the future of this ranch. A stallion with his blood could set us ahead of every competitor. If we can't tame him, what's the point?" Ethan turning to face him. "If we can't tame him, what's he worth?" The lake glowing gold in the distance, its calm a testament to the lesson waiting. The wildflowers along the house trembling in the breeze, the plains stretching wide and unbroken, their roots deep in the Texas soil. A slow, calculated smile spread across John's face. "Maybe we're going about this wrong." Ethan, the boy recognizing that look. John's mind turning to opportunity where others saw failure. "What do you mean?" Ethan asked. John placing a heavy hand on his shoulder. "If we can't tame him, we'll use his reputation as untamable, turn it into a spectacle." Ethan's brow furrowing. "A spectacle?" John's eyes gleaming. "We'll invite the best riders in the state to try their luck on Storm. Charge admission. Folks love to see the impossible, whether it's conquered or not." Ethan looking uncertain. "What if someone tames him?" John laughing, a rough sound echoing in the room. 5 men, professionals, tried, and Storm sent them all to the hospital. "No one will do it. And when he's proven untamable, his value as a stud will skyrocket. They'll say, 'That's Storm, the horse no one can ride,' and pay a fortune for his blood." Ethan still hesitant. "It's a big risk, Grandpa." John's voice firm. Life's made of risks, Ethan. Who doesn't risk doesn't win. The wildflowers along the corral trembling in the dusk, the plains pulsing with unseen purpose, their roots deep in the Texas soil. John set to work. The event planned in 3 weeks. The ranch buzzing with preparations, the day dawning with unprecedented energy, colorful banners flapping in the wind. Food and drink stalls dotting the grounds, the hum of hundreds of voices filling the air, word spreading like wildfire across Redstone. John Parker challenging anyone to tame the legendary storm. Ethan watching the crowd with a mix of awe and unease. Mary Ellen adjusting her straw hat against the sun. Your grandpa must be pleased. Never seen the ranch this full. Ethan nodding. Unable to share her enthusiasm. He's playing with fire. Mary Ellen. Something tells me this won't end like he expects. John. In the barn, adjusting a red bandana around his neck. Looking sharp in his traditional cowboy gear. Dark jeans, polished boots, white shirt, and a silver-threaded vest. Pride one of the few luxuries he allowed himself. Frank stepping in. Riders are here. John. 5, as you wanted. John smiling. And Storm. Frank frowning. Restless. Broke 2 boards in the stable this morning. John's grin widening. Perfect. The wilder, the better. The lake shimmering faintly, its calm a beacon of the lesson coming, the wildflowers enduring, their roots deep in the Texas soil. The central corral, usually for training horses, had been transformed, makeshift bleachers surrounding the circular space, packed with eager spectators. John stepping onto a small platform, raising his arms to quiet the crowd, his voice booming. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Parker Ranch. The crowd erupting in cheers, some whistling in support. Today, you'll witness the best riders in Texas take on Storm. The untamed spirit of the Redstone Plains. 5 brave men have accepted my challenge, and to the one who stays on Storm for over a minute, I offer $1,000 and one of my finest colts. A murmur of admiration rippling through the audience, a generous prize, the challenge beginning. The first rider, Tom Iron Grayson, known for his skill with tough horses. Entering the corral to applause, approaching Storm with steady movements, speaking softly, the stallion watching with piercing eyes, allowing the approach for a moment. But when Tom tried to place a blanket on his back, Storm exploded, rearing, neighing like a demon, attacking with such ferocity that 3 men had to intervene to save Tom from being trampled. The crowd roaring, half in shock, half in morbid excitement, the wildflowers along the corral trembling in the chaos, the plains stretching wide and unbroken, their roots deep in the Texas soil. The second rider, Hank Vargas, a burly man who tamed horses with sheer strength, was thrown against the fence before he could even mount, blood trickling down his forehead, pride wounded. The third and fourth trying different approaches, one with unyielding firmness, another with whispered words, both failing spectacularly, one dislocating a shoulder. The other losing 2 teeth as Storm flung him headfirst into the dirt. John watching with growing satisfaction, the event unfolding as planned, a showcase of Storm's untamed nature. His value as a stud soaring. The 5th rider, Bill Moreno, 60, the most experienced and respected of all, entering to a reverent silence, moving with the patience of decades, Storm watching. Ears pricked, the 2 circling in a silent dance of wills for long minutes, Bill finally making his move, placing the saddle, mounting, seeming to have a chance, but at the critical moment, Storm spun with lightning speed, throwing the old rider to the ground, the crowd gasping as one. If even the legendary Bill Moreno couldn't do it, no one could. The lake glowing gold in the distance. Its calm a testament to the lesson waiting, the wildflowers enduring, their roots deep in the Texas soil. John stepped back onto the platform, triumphant. You've seen it with your own eyes. Storm is truly untamable. His voice ringing, a free spirit. I'd like to try. A clear voice, steady as steel, cut through his speech. The crowd turning as one toward the sound. A tall, slender woman standing at the corral entrance, dressed simply, dark riding pants, a white long-sleeved shirt, a small hat shading part of her face. Her black hair in a long braid over her shoulder, her green eyes striking against her tan skin, fixed not on John but on Storm, a moment of stunned silence broken by scattered laughs. Then full-blown laughter. A woman tamed Storm. A man shouted, "Go back to the kitchen, girl." Another jeered. John recovering, smiling condescendingly. "Ma'am, I appreciate your bravery. But this ain't a place for a lady. 5 of the best riders just failed. I can't let you get hurt. The woman stepping forward into the corral, her gaze shifting to John. My name's Esperanza Valverde. And I don't aim to tame your horse, Mr. Parker. I aim to understand him. The wildflowers along the corral trembling in the breeze, the plains pulsing with unseen purpose. Their roots deep in the Texas soil. Something in her words, the steadiness of her gaze, made John hesitate, but his pride quickly took over. Storm sent men with decades of experience to the hospital. Ma'am, he ain't a horse for games. Esperanza turning to Storm, who watched with curious ears pricked. Please, she said. Now addressing Ethan nearby. Just give me a chance. Ethan looking to John, who was torn. Denying her would look like fear. Allowing her might risk her safety. A trap he couldn't escape. The lady takes full responsibility for any harm, John said coldly, and no, none of my men will step in when Storm decides he doesn't like you. Esperanza nodding slightly in thanks, unhurried. Removing her hat, handing it to a girl in the front row, untying her braid, letting her black hair fall free down her back, the crowd falling silent, mesmerized by the unusual scene, a woman, alone, unarmed, approaching the feared Storm, the lake shimmering faintly, its calm a beacon of the lesson coming, the wildflowers enduring, their roots deep in the Texas soil. Esperanza didn't walk straight toward Storm, moving slowly around the corral, her steps light, barely disturbing the dirt, glancing at him occasionally, like greeting a friend from afar. Beginning to hum a soft melody, almost a whisper, in a language few recognized, not English, not Spanish, something ancient, as if from a forgotten time, Storm, who moments before had shown murderous fury, watching with evident curiosity, his ears following her voice. What's she doing? Ethan whispered to John, who didn't answer, his eyes fixed on the scene. A deep frown creasing his brow, Esperanza continuing her gentle song, circling closer to Storm but never directly, spiraling like a dance, respecting his space, inviting him rather than forcing. Stopping 2 feet away, extending her hand, palm up, not touching, just offering, the wildflowers along the corral trembling in the breeze, the plains stretching wide and unbroken. Their roots deep in the Texas soil. Storm snorted, shook his head, for a moment seeming ready to rear and attack as he had with the others, the crowd holding its breath, but instead, to everyone's shock, the black stallion stepped forward, then another step, until his powerful muzzle was inches from Esperanza's hand. Impossible, Bill Moreno muttered, still in the corral. Watching wide-eyed, Esperanza unmoving, her song steady, her green eyes locked on Storm's dark ones, a silent communication passing between them, as if sharing a secret no one else could grasp. Storm finally touching her hand with his muzzle, a gentle, almost reverent touch, the crowd exhaling as one, Esperanza smiling, her face lighting up like dawn, slowly stroking his neck. Storm leaning into the touch, eyes half closed, the wildflowers near the corral blooming anew, their colors vibrant in the Texas sun, the plains stretching wide and unbroken, their roots deep in the Texas soil. How? John's voice broke, Esperanza now running both hands along Storm's neck, speaking softly. The horse who hours earlier had tried to kill 5 men now completely calm, eyes closed, as if in a trance, what happened next leaving the audience speechless, Esperanza, in a fluid motion. Placing her hands on Storm's shoulders, vaulting onto his back without saddle or reins, Storm remaining still, as if he'd carried her forever, Esperanza leaning forward, whispering to him. Then sitting upright, guiding him with a light touch of her heels into a smooth trot around the corral, the silence deafening, no one daring to speak. As if a sound might break the spell of the impossible moment, completing the lap, stopping before John, her green eyes meeting his, not with defiance but with serene understanding. He's not untamable, Mr. Parker, her voice clear in the absolute silence, just misunderstood, the lake glowing gold in the distance, its calm a testament to the lesson delivered. The wildflowers enduring, their roots deep in the Texas soil. John Parker, for the first time in years, found himself speechless, staring at Esperanza, at Storm, now a different creature. Something inside him trembling, not just his plans crumbling, but a lifetime of certainties about how the world worked, the crowd, snapping from their awe, erupting in applause and cheers. Esperanza smiling again, patting Storm's mane, the horse seeming to enjoy the attention as much as she did. Ethan approaching, eyes shining with admiration. Who is she, Grandpa? John not answering immediately, his gaze fixed on Esperanza and Storm, an unreadable expression on his weathered face. I don't know, Ethan, he said finally, voice low. But I reckon we're about to find out. The wildflowers along the corral blooming anew, their colors vibrant in the Texas sun, the plains stretching wide and unbroken, their roots deep in the Texas soil. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in amber and red, the crowd dispersed, leaving whispers of a story that would be told for generations. John sitting on a wooden bench by the corral, watching in silence as Esperanza guided Storm in gentle circles, unhurried, as if they had all the time in the world. Each movement a harmony defying everything John knew about breaking horses. Ethan approaching cautiously, offering a mug of strong coffee. You okay, Grandpa? John taking the coffee with a nod. Not looking away from the pair. 54 years, Ethan, he murmured. 54 years on this land, raising horses, and I never saw anything like that. Ethan sitting beside him, following his gaze. Who do you think she is? John's lips twitching in a wry smile. Someone who knows things I never learned, or maybe never wanted to. The lake glowing silver in the dusk. It's come a beacon of the lesson learned, the wildflowers enduring, their roots deep in the Texas soil. Esperanza dismounted with a fluid motion, Storm staying close, his head near her shoulder like an old friend, whispering to him, stroking his neck with calm, deliberate gestures. Mr. Parker, she called, turning to them, would you like to come closer? John tensing, after seeing what Storm had done to 5 of the best riders in Texas, the idea didn't feel wise, but something in her invitation made it impossible to refuse, setting the mug aside. Rising slowly, feeling the weight of his years, Ethan starting to follow, John stopping him with a gesture. This was something he needed to do alone, each step toward the corral heavier than the last. Storm watching, ears pricked, alert, but no hostility in those dark eyes, just cautious vigilance. He won't attack, Esperanza said as John stopped a few feet away, but he doesn't trust you yet. The wildflowers along the corral trembling in the breeze, the plains stretching wide and unbroken, their roots deep in the Texas soil. Why should he? John replied, surprised by his own honesty. I haven't given him reason to. Esperanza smiling, a warmth radiating from within. That's a good start, recognizing it, extending her hand to John. Come. But leave your intentions at the corral gate. John hesitating, then taking her hand, warm and strong for someone so delicate. What do I do? He asked, her reply simple. Nothing. Just be present. Listen, observe, guiding his hand near Storm's muzzle, stopping inches away. Let him choose. Storm studying the hand with evident distrust, snorting, stepping back slightly. He remembers. John murmured, yes. Esperanza nodded. Horses have good memories, especially for those who tried to break their spirit. Her words hitting John like a blow. The weight of his decisions since Storm's arrival crashing down, the harsh methods, the punishments, the blind determination to force submission. I only knew one way, he admitted, lowering his hand. The lake glowing silver in the dusk, its calm a testament to the lesson unfolding, the wildflowers enduring, their roots deep in the Texas soil. There's always more than one way, Mr. Parker. Her voice gentle, without judgment, stroking Storm's mane with affection. Storm's like the wind that gave him his name. You can't trap or force him, but you can learn to dance with him. Storm moving closer on his own, his muzzle brushing John's shoulder. Not submission, but recognition. Equal to equal, something breaking inside John, a barrier he didn't know existed. His eyes misting, his voice faltering, clearing his throat. How'd you learn this? Esperanza looking past him to the horizon, the last light fading. I grew up with wild horses in the Guadalupe Mountains. My grandfather was Comanche, taught me animals aren't property to own but souls to honor, smiling at a distant memory. He said a truly tamed horse is never really tamed. It chooses to share its path with you. The wildflowers along the corral trembling in the breeze, the plains stretching wide and unbroken, their roots deep in the Texas soil. Hours later, under a moonlit sky, John and Esperanza sat on the porch. Ethan and Mary Ellen retired, a bottle of aged whiskey between them. So you came all this way just for Storm? John asked, swirling his glass, Esperanza nodding. Word of your challenge spread far. When I heard of the black stallion no one could ride, I knew I had to meet him, glancing toward the stable where Storm rested calmly. Now I know he needs more than a rider. He needs a purpose and a home that respects him for what he is. John considering her words, his life built on control over the land, the animals, his legacy. Esperanza and Storm shaking that foundation in a single day. What are you proposing? He asked. Her reply surprising. Stay with him, but let me teach you a new way to connect with him and all your horses. The lake glowing silver in the moonlight, its calm a beacon of change. The wildflowers enduring, their roots deep in the Texas soil. John raising his eyebrows. You're offering lessons? Esperanza laughing, a musical sound dancing in the night breeze. I'm offering a trade, Mr. Parker. My knowledge for your hospitality. I stay at the ranch a few months, work with Storm and your other horses. In return, you give me a place to stay, pausing, her green eyes gleaming, and promise to consider a different way to build your legacy. John leaning forward. What way would that be? Her voice earnest. One that doesn't break spirits, but honors them. Imagine the Parker Ranch, not just the best horse breeder in Texas, but a place where folks come to learn the true art of connection between humans and horses. The idea is so far from John's plans that his instinct was to refuse, but the image of Esperanza riding Storm, their perfect harmony, burned in his mind. I'm an old man, Ms. Valverde, he said finally. Old men don't usually learn new tricks. Her reply simple. It's never too late for new understanding. Storm was 7 when he came here, not a colt anymore. Some say too late to change, yet he chose to trust me. The right approach. The wildflowers along the house trembling in the breeze, the plains stretching wide and unbroken, their roots deep in the Texas soil. John lifting his glass, the moonlight reflecting in the amber liquid, his life a single, unyielding path, the idea of change at his age terrifying yet freeing. All right, he said with a sigh carrying decades. You stay with Storm, and at the ranch as long as needed, raising his glass in a toast to new understandings, Esperanza smiling, clinking her glass with his, to new understandings. The crew gathering the next morning, coffee steaming, Ethan slouched in a chair, sketching Storm and Esperanza, his face bright. She's staying, Grandpa? John nodding. She's got lessons to teach. Reckon we've got plenty to learn. Frank grinning. About time we tried something new. Mary Ellen adding. She's a blessing. Storm's proof. Matt tapping his laptop. Grayson's quiet, too quiet. Tom by the window. Ridge is clear. But I'll keep watch. The lake glowing gold as dawn broke. The plains stretching wide. Wildflowers enduring, their roots deep in the Texas soil. John stepping onto the porch, rifle close, the air smelling of earth and renewal, his eyes scanning the ridge, a faint glint catching the sunlight, then vanishing. The shadow lingering, the lessons of Storm a new chapter, but the fight far from over, the wildflowers along the plains blooming anew, their colors vibrant in the Texas dawn, the lake glowing silver. It's calm a testament to the change John embraced, but the storm on the horizon a promise of battles yet to come.